Welcome. Thank you everybody for coming to tonight's lecture and exhibit opening with Lee and Dan Ross. They were our artists in residence here at the Marais Art Colony in January. They came for 14 days, night and day. They were here when I arrived in the morning. They stayed past when we left in the evenings. They dreamed about it at night, and they woke back up in the morning and showed up here again to make more. Originally, I asked Lee if they would be interested in participating in the Artists in Residence program, and I was kind of hoping they would do printmaking, because last year we were granted $12,000 from the Lloyd K. Johnson Foundation to do some renovations in our print studio. So we've been working really hard to make it a really fantastic space for artists to work in. So Dan and Lee were kind of our first artists to jump in there and really spend some time and put their energy into the studio. And I think you can see today that what they made was just incredible. We were so fortunate to have them here, and I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say tonight about their experience and their creative process. That's kind of what this Artist in Residence is all about. It's not only about giving artists the space and the time to really focus on their own creative process, try new things, move their artwork forward, but it's also about being able to connect with the community and allowing the community to experience what the artist's life is like, what the creation process is like, and how important it is to step out of your boundaries and try new things. So, a little housekeeping, as my cell phone just went off. Please all turn your cell phones off so you don't have the same mistake. And bathrooms, of course, are to the back. You can also always head out of the studio, go around and out the deck into the other studio. There's another bathroom in there as well. After the lecture, we'll pick up all the chairs really quickly and we'll all mingle together. If you head through this door and across the deck, there are a few more prints in there, as well as some sculpture pieces of Lee and Dan's, so you can kind of see what their other artwork is like. Okay, without further ado, Lee and Dan, thank you.
So you're gonna start talking first?
Yeah, well, thank you all so much for coming. This was just an amazing opportunity for us, and really appreciate you all showing up. It really means a lot to us. We just had a great time, and Dan's gonna...
Yeah, okay, well, I'll just talk a little bit about who we are and why we did this, what we learned, and would we do it again? But first I also want to thank everybody for coming, and I want to thank Amy and Jan and Kirsty so much. This has been a phenomenal experience for us, and this is a great facility here. That's one of the things I learned. Well, I guess I'll jump into talking about the work. We live in Hovland, Minnesota. We've been doing sculpture for 38 years, making a living with our work. We do both ceramic and stone. This is some of the more recent things that we've done. These are different granites. This is some pieces for the Children's Hospital in Minneapolis.
This is installing the bear for the Children's Hospital. We had to hire a big crane and the police to block off Chicago Avenue in Minneapolis. And they're sticking their hands in their head under that couple-ton rock there.
That's the finished installation.
Yeah.
Now this is the Lynx, and that's Lee. This is the backside of the Lynx looking towards the open area there.
This is saying goodbye to the Lynx.
Okay, this is a different piece. This is a local commission we did. These are different granites. And this is just a technical, I'm actually scoring and then chiseling out an area.
This is at our studio.
Yeah, that's it. And this is polishing a stone. I think this was the same piece. And I'm water polishing. You know, this reminds me of something that, this is down by the house where we have running water. And I remember when I was polishing, and it happened to be kind of a dry period that year, and I would be polishing, the water would be running off the stone, and I'd look down, and here would be birds landing down by my feet, just bathing in their pretty little wings. So I had to watch where I was stepping because there'd be a bunch of birds. So anyway, this is the finished.
The finished pieces. And they're at a cabin here outside of Grand Marais.
And this is a local stone. This is a reddish basalt. Just finishing it up here. And this is just down the road here, up at the clinic here. Stone, different granites. Now this is ceramic. And these are high-fired, meaning about 2,300 degrees slab construction. And so I like working at the higher temperatures because we like to do outdoor pieces too. These are fine out in the elements. And we've done large-scale pieces in ceramic. This piece was about, whatever, kind of jumping around.
Sorry, Dan. There.
So, got to talk a little faster, I guess.
Yeah, I want to get to the champagne.
All right.
Go ahead.
Where was I? So anyways, so we did a piece for the University of Wisconsin in Madison. That was about 7 feet tall out of ceramic in these colors. And
this is our kill.
And this is at a show at the Milwaukee Art Museum, the Calatrava. And we were lucky enough to be set up inside. So we couldn't help ourselves. We had to take a shot at it. And I don't know what I'm doing behind there. I think I'm looking for the exit. So anyways, that's another shot. This is a booth shot. We do, I didn't get into it, but we make our living doing art fairs, and then we do some commission work. And then this is a show that we always like to do. It's inside the museum. And then there's booths outside too, but this is our booth. And so that's some limestone pieces.
Yeah, to set up on marble floors. And
yeah, that's really pretty.
Nice.
Not all shows are like this. Yeah, we could sit and watch what do they call it, the freeze? What do they call it?
Yeah, the wings.
Open and so during the day, the light would pass over the work as these things are being lowered and raised. It was fascinating to see. This is in Milwaukee, yeah. Yeah, Calatrava. So this is at our house. We have a show that we do in the fall, the Crossing Border Studio Tour, and then these are some things outside, the little sculpture walk there, and there's another shot.
Walking down
and then
to our house.
That's an owl that leads to the owl, and then that's a stacked ceramic piece that's probably about 6 feet tall. That's our showroom.
In our house.
Yeah.
It's only open during Crossing Borders. Otherwise, it's a mess.
Okay, now we're jumping into.
Yeah, now we're.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess we're jumping into the prints now.
Yeah. So Jerry, anyway, it was great to have Amy and Art Colony ask us to do this. I've been wanting to get Dan to collaborate with me on prints. I've done some printmaking in the past, but I've been eyeing the Art Colony too because what an amazing facility it was. But on the first day, Jerry came and showed us the ropes. He told us, taught us, how to use the press and how to clean up. They have a really safe, non-toxic way to clean up in the studio. But it was just what a wonderful opportunity to walk in there and have all these surfaces. To go in a studio that's all set up and all these clean surfaces, and so we just had at it. But we went in there with no preconceived notion. We wanted to just let it happen as we, as we were working. So we went in there with no preconceived notion. And so on the first day that we got in there, Dan, and this is the other thing, when we collaborate, we don't say, okay, Dan, you're going to do this, Lee, you're going to do that. We just start doing it. Dan just started right away sketching out some designs, and then I started playing around with the inks, so coming up with a color palette. So and we tried all different kinds of inks, but then we got together later in that day, and we went over Dan's sketches, and then I decided which ones would work the best, I thought. And then Dan looked at the different ink colors, and we collaborated on that. And then we got some birch plywood and just started cutting out these shapes. Dan got a jigsaw out and cutting out these shapes. And this was the first print then that we pulled. So Dan's first print, and that's that piece right there. And yeah, so there's something about printmaking. It's really exciting. It's like a surprise, you know. You just up that paper. It's kind of like unloading a kill a little bit, only it seems a little more immediate. Then as we progressed, we started with just one block, and then we started combining 2 blocks, and then we just kept going until the end, where we started doing combining all these different shapes. And so what we did is we'd lay them out on the bed, and then Dan would stand up with our iPad, take a picture of it so we could look at it to see the arrangement, you know, because otherwise you couldn't really, you know, see the arrangement. So we played around with that. And, I mean, we just had lots of fun playing around with. We allowed ourselves to pretty much do anything. Another thing we got, I think one of the most exciting things I got from this was Kirsty took this series of pictures of us working together, and Dan and I have been collaborating for so long, we don't really realize, you know, what we're doing. I didn't realize how we're so close when we're working, you know, and I mean, it was just, so this is really it was a treat for us to get this series of photographs of us working together. So we're doing different things. So we would ink up those blocks, and then we'd use different stencils, paper stencils, just played around with different textures.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Are you adding ink here, or are you just?
Yes. Oh, no, actually that's a good question, Mike. What I would lay that on there, and actually that would pull some ink off. So yeah, you can see how it got lighter where I used that little plastic stencil. And yeah, and our idea, we came in just with a concept. You know, entry points was our concept, and that, you know, it has a lot of different meanings. It was an entry point for printmaking. We also had been exploring different entry points in the Boundary Waters. It was a good excuse to go for hikes and to go into the Boundary Waters. And so we had been doing that before we even knew we were going to do the prints. And we didn't know what we were going to do with that. We thought, you know, we could write something or, you know, do some sculpture. But anyway, so it wound up using it in this.
Could you talk about the stone and the heaviness of the stone and how that came into each one?
Yeah, and that's really interesting. You know, one thing, you know, you take something for granted. You know, we're so used to lifting heavy things and doing heavy things, and for Dan to learn to hold paper was just something new. It's really, but no, it's something that you don't think about, but you have to really hold. This is fragile paper. I mean, it's 100% rag paper. It's a French rag paper, but it's very soft. You know, so you can damage it pretty easily. And so you had to learn to hold things, you know, rather than, you know, with a stone, you got to really hang on to it. You know, you're going to drop it, you know.
That would leave fingerprints.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always felt like I had to use. Yeah, and
You know,
the other
just
thing, you have
things-
to be so conscious of all corners of the paper.
Yeah.
You have to, you just want to rip it off of there, but if it drags across the wood block, it's just going to pick up things as it goes. So, yeah, it took a while to get the hang of that. It seemed like the first few prints, I would leave little reminders there. So.
Yeah. No, we had a few that didn't make it.
And that was one of the things I learned right away. I really like this. You know, the fact that I don't have to lift it. You know, and it just seems like, and we were talking about this the other day about how doing the prints, you almost can disappear into that print. I think that's one of the things that's different about prints and sculpture is you try to disappear into a sculpture and you're going to hit your head. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you do any
re-registering and doing double prints, or was it all just one time?
No, we
there's a
went through,
few.
we started, running them through twice, but never where you had to have perfect registration. But yeah, one day we were inking up the blocks, and we ran it through, and then we turned the paper around and ran it through again with what ink was left on the block, and it made some really interesting layers. We went kind of wild one day where I wanted to try all the different ink colors we hadn't tried yet. And yeah, they were
That
pretty
print's
wild.
in the other room.
Yeah, that one's in the other room.
It doesn't quite
Yeah,
fit,
it
I
doesn't
don't
fit
know.
in here, but
But
actually,
there were a lot of things I thought pretty neat about it.
Yeah.
You got some really
yeah, we
great-
learned a lot. And I mean, it just opened up so many things. I mean, we just want to go in there and do it again, with what we learned, and try all the different layers and it just, I don't know, we just had
Yeah, there's
great
a real
time.
progression here. That the first one, you can kind of see what happened here. We started, so then we went to 2,
Yeah.
then we went to 3.
Yeah, and then overlaid
and then
some.
we did the overlay, and then we did the 5 or 6 here. What is there? And then we just got busier and busier.
Yeah.
That one that we just went wild on was like,
Yeah,
okay, we've done that now. Now we have to pull back a little bit.
yeah.
But still, there's a lot of things in there that I liked. I think it would be really neat to go in and maybe crop some of that, or at least take some of those sections that we really liked and work off of that. But, yeah. So, another question? But I went into this, and I've always trusted Lee's intuition. I mean, Lee's the one who kind of, she's some of the major things that have happened in our lives, and we've been together now for close to 40 years.
We have been 40 years.
40 years.
14,772 days.
So a major event in our life was when we went to Africa. That was, and that was Lee's idea, and I thought, well, okay, I remember telling my brothers I was going to go to Africa, and they said, well, you can go see the animals in the zoo.
Yeah, Dan always gets worried when I get up in the morning and say, hey, Dan. Hey, Dan, what do you think?
And that was a great trip. That trip had such a big impact on our work, and it just, and then I remember, that was your idea to do that. And I think 2 years later, it was my idea to go to South America, I think. And that didn't go so well.
That was a great That was a great trip, too.
We had there was a coup.
Yeah. A coup, a major earthquake.
And then there was the shining path was on the running the Senderosa Luminosa. They were going wild, and I think there might have even been a volcano. I kind of put the kibosh on that, but I learned that, Lee's intuition. Oh, I know, the other thing on that trip was I was the language guy, and so it would be my job to go, because I spent 3 months trying to learn Spanish, and when I got down there, they could understand me, but I could never understand them. So I would get so depressed. I remember I bought those comic books, but anyways, Lee saw I was struggling, and she could decipher what they were saying.
I just watched the body language.
How it is.
Going, we ask them where something is, and they're pointing, and Dan's stuck on the first word.
Yeah, that one word just freezes you. What was that? So you'd have to finish it for me. So her intuition is phenomenal. So when she came to me and said, I think we should do this artist in residence thing. I think we should do some prints. And I said, okay. I've only done one print in my life, but she said, you'll love it. And so I just trusted her, and she was right. It was a phenomenal experience. I learned so much in that studio. I learned more about working with her, too. And it was a great experience. And this facility is such a phenomenal asset to this community. I'm sure everybody knows that. I almost don't want to brag it up too much because
Then we won't get studio
I
space.
want to, yeah. No, it was just great.
Yeah.
It was great.
But
Yeah.
You've explained how you do the large shapes and how you subtract with the stencil, but how do you do those delicate lines, for example, on the tree on the
some of them are drawn, some of them are stencils. Some of the shapes I used, you know, the easy cut stuff. You know, I'd cut out little blocks, or I'd find objects around home. So we did all the basic block printing here in that 2-week period. We did 40 prints in that 2-week period. And then went home and thought about them, lived with them for a little bit, and then started adding little things. You know, talked about, you know, what direction we wanted to go. But this was, you know, it was all a very personal thing. You know, we just, you know, did it for ourselves and just really, you know, the one thing we were a little hesitant about using the art colony was we thought, oh man, we're going to be out in public. Because we're so used to working, you know, at our own pace, not having any interruptions. We have no phone up in our studio. You know, we purposely, you know, isolate ourselves when we're working because you really have to concentrate. At least that's, for us, we do. So we thought, oh man, the art colony is going to be really hard. People might be popping in. But it was so great. They just left us alone. You know, so we really had free run. And it was just, it was, of course, doing it in January, I think, probably helped a little bit too. But it's usually in January is the time of year when we give ourselves time to learn something new, try new things, work out new ideas. And so this was it for this year.
Yeah. I think at some of the prints, like some of the early ones, we were thinking of the entry point theme of portages and paths going into the boundary waters, and some of the big boulder forms that we would pass by.
Yeah, this one, I don't know if you've ever seen maps in the boundary waters. They have the lines for the portages and the red dots for the campsites. So there's a little red dot for the campsite. But I mean, it's, you know, very loose and
then it sort of morphed into objects moving, into almost looking down in the water. I thought that we ended up with this. It maybe brought back memories of paddling the canoe over on a clear lake, looking down and seeing these images floating by. It's almost like they're moving as you go by.
And now this time of year, you know, with the ice moving in and out of the lake, you see these shapes, all these wonderful geometric patterns coming in and out.
Yeah, and this year we got ice on the lake for the first time in a long time. It's so great. And you know how the ice will start pushing up and there'll be this geometric form. And oh my God, there's our shape. Yeah. You know, you'd start seeing these things that we had, and I don't know where these shapes where they came from, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we don't. But after we've done it, now we start seeing them. Where we sit every morning looking out on the lake, we have the windowsills just covered with, you know, little stones. And I said, hey, Dan, there's the print. You know, there's, you know, all the little stones and the little pieces of driftwood in there. And, you know, but those shapes are everywhere, you know.
Yeah, we weren't really conscious. I think we wanted to go into this. We tried to approach it like a couple of musicians going into a recording studio.
Jazz musicians, you know.
Yeah, and then instead of ending up with an album, we ended up with these prints. It's because we were so focused. We blocked out all other. We just had no preconceived ideas and just let's see what happens.
No obligations in those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Didn't look at emails for 2 weeks. But anyway, yeah. So thanks so much for coming, everybody. It was really great turnout. And any questions, we'd be glad to answer.
All right. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry?
What's next?
Oh.
Is that what you said? What's next? More. Just more. I mean, we just, you know, you hear people dream about retiring, and we just dream about working. I mean, we have so many ideas that we want to get to in our lives. I don't know how we'll get to them.
Yeah, that's not going to work down there. You'll get my feet shoved in.
How long was it down there?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Okay. Yes?
We're going to talk about the ones in the other building when we go over there.
Sure. Yeah, we could go over there with you. Yeah, we could
Sure.
talk about the model prints.
Yeah, just corral us if you got any
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
We're glad to answer questions. And we're here all day tomorrow, too. So if anybody wants, and we're going to be doing some printing. So, yeah, we'll be doing some printing tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. Might as well be working when we're here, so get a chance to use it. Tomorrow it's from, we'll be here from 10 to 4. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
Where did you go when you were in Africa, and what did you do?
East Africa, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and then we went over to Zanzibar.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, that was neat. So yeah, we were
We
there
were
for
a
a few months.
camping trip.
Yeah, that was a great experience. Oh, I'll never forget the Serengeti. We caught it during the height of the wildebeest migration, and so as far as you could see, these animals moving, and then when they'd start moving in mass, this dust cloud would start billowing up, and it was amazing. It was magical. And then we got to go sit with the gorillas in Rwanda, in Kigali.
That was a
it's
long
great.
time ago.
There was. But you know what? I tell you though, when I started thinking, getting ready for this, I started thinking back to some of these things that really shaped. And I thought, there's still a lot of things I want to go back to that
Oh, yeah.
we haven't covered it all. And that's just the African trip. So, yeah, there's a lot of things we still have to do. Yeah.
Did this feel different than printmaking you've done before?
Oh, yeah, well, first of all, working with Dan, it's just, like I said, I've been, wanting to do this for so long with Dan, because, I don't know, we just have a really great time collaborating, and I knew he'd bring something different to it. First of all, getting out his power tools and his getting out the jigsaw, and Joan was hearing us downstairs in the clay studio. Dan and I were, making all kinds of noise. Didn't know what was going on up there, if we were building a boat or something. But yeah, no, we brought in our saws and sanders, and we, we knew we only had a short period of time, and we just wanted to get at it. So we weren't going to do all the little intricate carving that people do with wood blocks, because we just didn't have the time. It would have spent the 2 weeks, carving one block. So instead, and plus this is just our style. This is a simple form. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I've done quite a few different forms of printmaking. When I was in college, that's all I did at River Falls. I just was in the printmaking. I lived in the printmaking department. I just loved it. So this is kind of coming back to that, which is, but I haven't done wood blocks really since then.
Yeah, when I first met Lee, that's where we met, was at River Falls in '72. And she was doing a life-size self-portrait.
Nude self-portrait.
A nude self-portrait.
Wood block. Wood block.
And yeah.
And Dan helped me carry.
Well, okay. I should probably back up a little bit. Okay, I played a little football when I went to River Falls, and they put me in the dorm with all the football players. I don't know what they were thinking, but like we were going to discuss the pass defense for University of Oshkosh. I don't know. So anyways, it was just a zoo. And so here was Lee walking around with her nude in the next dorm over, and I thought, you can't get these guys excited. So I started helping you carry it.
Yes.
Make sure the nude side was in. So, anyways.
Yeah.
So well, that was the other thing too, is that I got exposed to the art studio too.
Right.
I was pursuing a different. I was horticulture. I was a plant science.
Dan was agriculture major.
Agriculture. So, yeah, and then so I got to see what the art studio was like. It was kind of different. And then you convinced me to take some art classes, and that was so that's where it started for me. Yeah, I think we said enough.
Yeah, we said enough. But yeah, again, thanks so much, and thanks so much to the Art Colony, to Amy and Kirsty, and to Jerry for helping us get started, and and thanks for all of you coming out.
Yeah,
It's
this
really
is great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we didn't
Thanks a
know if
lot.
anybody would come. So this is great. Nice.
All right.